Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another video. My name is Tom. Thanks for joining me. Today, we're kind of inside and outside of the garage, so I figured let's try something new. Actually, if you're a DIYer, this video is probably for you. I went out, I went to a car parts store that's here in town, and I bought a few of these accessories that, you know, might make life a little bit easier. So in all honesty, I have these very accessories somewhere in here, but over the last 6 months I couldn't find them, so I bought new ones. Okay, so first things on the list is a bayonet inflator gauge. This has, you know, the tire inflator, plus it's got the doohickey that comes out here that tells you how many PSI are already in the tire. So I like these a lot. I also got something different. This is a pistol grip blowgun that is also screw-on air, and you just attach to your air hose, and then you can clean off things like the Kubota, which I should do once in a while because the pile of dried mud on the mower deck is crossing about 4 to 5 inches. So I'm going to take care of that with this. Hopefully that little DeWalt pancake compressor has enough juice to, if you know what I mean. So that's that. And then I just got a little assorted box of fittings, and there's some like bicycle tire inflators as well as like a ball needle, you know, the things that you put into like, you know, Eddie's got a bunch of soccer balls, and there's a football laying around somewhere that needs some inflation, as well as another little grip that you can use to inflate tires and such. And there's also a manual in here on the bottom. There's a manual tire gauge that I'm actually going to put into the little toolkit that I have in the Bolt EUV. So we'll see what we have to use, but suffice it to say, let's get the show on the road. Why don't you come along? Okay, so first things first, I got this DeWalt pancake compressor in California before we left. Actually, I've had it probably for about 2 or 3 years now. It's not very it's not very beefy, but it does do pretty good at about 150 PSI. So it'll empty out really quick, so you can't really use it for air tools or anything like that. But to fill up tires on a car, works perfectly. So what I have here also is the matching air hose that is rated for below 300 PSI. So this is 3/8 inch hose, and it has a fitting on here that just connects like that into the air compressor. Now, for some strange reason, no matter what fittings I use, there's always an air leak. So we're just going to ignore that hissing sound in the background. So what I am going to do is we're going to start off with this little bayonet inflator gauge. And I went to just a generic car parts store. Like, I don't know if you can call it a big box store, but it has pretty big boxes. So suffice it to say, I'm going to see if I can find the Amazon equivalent of this and put them down below. So here, now that I have this open, I'll show you again. So this little guy here screws onto this, and this is typically the kind of setup that is used by auto mechanics. I don't know if they use the same exact one, but I wouldn't be surprised. So essentially you hold this in your hand, you put this on the tire, and this is like bi-directional. You can either stick it on from the top or you can go backwards. So depending on where the valve is, you just decide where you want it. Air inlet goes right here, and then you squeeze and it lets air out. Every time you let go, this little doohickey down here pops out and tells you how many PSIs you are. So let's see if we can make this thing squeal. Oh, and this was the other reason why I bought this little accessory kit, because I wasn't sure if I had all the fittings, you know, to couple the hose with the attachment, with the compressor and such. So I typically keep the fittings with, you know, everything. So like my hose already has the 3/8 inch fitting that goes into the sleeve on the compressor. I never take it off. In fact, I tightened it so tight with a wrench that it can't come off. I mean, it'll come off if you really wanted to, but for now, it's on there. It just lets me remember not to take it off. So, okay, so now we have one of these, and I'm not gonna put the Teflon tape on it just yet because I wanna test it and see if it works. Most of my my tools don't stay together very long. There is a leak, of course, you can hear it, but this should work. Now, this compressor also has a regulator on it. I know you guys are super far away, but trust me, there's a reason for that. What I am going to do is I'm going to crank this baby up to 100 PSI, because since I'm going for the tires, I want lots of airflow. And if I had an adjustable wrench handy, I would just cinch this up a little bit, but it's not leaking so badly that it doesn't work. So what we're going to do is we're going to head over to the car, which for you guys is literally just a spin. And you guys are going to watch me walk around the car. Let me tilt you down a little bit. I got you guys on a tripod because cameramen and women are very expensive. So we're just going to have Mr. Tripod do it for free. So first things first, let's see what we're at. And I think this tire here was at 35 pounds in the, hang on, let me undo this rubber band so I can actually make it fit in here. Well, that's not doing what I thought it would do. Oh, actually it is doing it. So right now it's about 38. Now these tires are warm, so I'm going to put them up to 44. Okay, that's 44. And we'll just go around the car and do that real quick. I'm debating if with that noise I want to keep recording. So what I'll do is probably just do all 4 tires and then I'll come back to you guys. So I took care of the Bolt EUV. All the tires are around 46 pounds. I'm going to turn on the car a little bit later once the air pressure settles. And we'll check it with what's on the dash. Hopefully they're all about the same. If not, I'll go back and adjust them. But just like good policy shows, you should help your neighbor. So I'm going to do the same thing for my wife. Make sure all 4 of her tires are, I want to say at about, her car is going to be cold. So let's do them to 38 and then we'll start there. I know one of her tires has a TPMS issue where it keeps showing that it's flat. I guess the battery is dead in the little sensor. Next time it goes in for service, I'll have them take the tire off and replace the module. It's kind of a expensive battery change, but it is what it is. So let's do it. Again, I'm going to pause the video here because that compressor makes it just impossible to talk over it. So I'm going to get to it. All right, so all 8 tires are at about roughly about 38 pounds per square inch cold. So I filled mine up to about 44 because they're hot. I drove it pretty hard on the way to the store and then back. So by the time the nighttime rolls around and the air pressure, you know, decreases through the cold, it should be at around 38 pounds. So that's just where I want it. I've had the TPMS warning lights on for the last week in this car, and hopefully that dilemma is behind us. My wife's car, the readings were all over the place too, so I went and squared her away with about 38 pounds in each tire because her car's been sitting here for a few hours. All right, next thing we're going to do, and the reason why I'm so hunched over for this camera shot, is we're going to open up the hood. And if you guys watched some of my earlier videos, and by earlier I mean from about a year and a half ago, there was a rat's nest starting to be built in my old Bolt EV 2020 Premier that I had. So since this car has about 1,600 and about 50 some odd miles on it, we're going to open the hood for the first time. So I'm going to take you guys with me, and you guys will see what I see for the very first time. Well, I already know what's under the hood, but you guys, you understand what I'm saying. Not a fan of the headlights turning on by themselves like that, because I always end up blinding my neighbors. Well, I don't know if I do or don't. I'm not sure my neighbors care, but they shine right on the front end of their house. So, all right, let's see what we got here. Ooh, this baby's hot. There's some heat coming off of this thing. You know, all this fanciness that GM has, and they can't put struts in here. So, all right, let's see what we got. I don't know if you guys can see anything. Let me bring you closer. Gotta love tripods. They make life so much easier. So, the rule of thumb is anything orange, keep your fingers away from, because that could be instant death, you know. This car does operate in the 400 volt series of vehicles, so keep your hands clear. So this is the standard 12 volt battery. I believe this is an AGM battery that runs all of the electronics, the computers and such on the inside of the vehicle, and it also controls the power that goes to the BMS and such. So if this goes dead on you, your car isn't driving anywhere. This lid looks like it's on crooked. No, it's on correctly. These are coolant reservoirs. There's one here too. So 1, 2, 3, and they look like they're all still above the full level. This is what is this? It's clear. I'm wondering if that's the brake. Yeah, it is the brake fluid. I don't know why I didn't know that. Duh. I've done this so many times, I should know this. Here's the fuse box, and here's the windshield washer reservoir. As far as maintenance down here goes, I wouldn't worry so much about it. I would take a flashlight and literally just bring it on, and let's see if we can get a flashlight on. There it goes. And just look around for something that doesn't look right. So this part here is your drivetrain. Just like in an ICE vehicle, you would find a combustion engine in this area. You can look at it the same way, except minus all the toxic fumes. In here, in between this, oh yeah, that's still pretty hot. In between these components, underneath these connectors, is where in my last vehicle I found a pretty incomplete mouse nest, and I feel like I got rid of it right before they went to town on the cabling. In fact, there wasn't any damage or anything. I shot a video of looking at, you know, the cables and making sure that everything was okay. The assessment, you know, passed, if you will. I didn't find anything that had any sign of gnawing or chewing. In fact, there wasn't even any animal byproduct, if you will, down here. So And that's actually the reason, another reason why I bought that little pistol grip blower, is to be able to go in here and just, you know, every once in a while. But this looks very clean. All of the cables are connected. I'm not touching them. If I see something that's off, I will put on insulating gloves and attempt to reconnect if I have to. But right now, the car drives perfect. There's no indicator lights of any sort. And I don't see any... Actually, I lied. There is some corrosion on the negative terminal on the ground. So I'm going to take a... I'm going to have to find my little wire brush and just... Actually, it's just blowing off, so maybe it's just hasn't really grown on yet, but I can see that there's some flakes on there. In fact, I'm gonna record some of that with my phone so you guys can see it. Let's see, let's get some lights on over here. And where's the light? Yeah, so right in here, that's all white corrosion. You can see the stuff that I blew off is kind of just sitting there. It was actually on top here. So you want to make sure that that is cleaned off. Let me see if I can fix the brightness of it. There you go. You can see it a little better there. So yeah, that is about it. I wouldn't do anything else. Like I said, keep your fingers away from all the orange stuff. There's even some cooling lines back there that go to the pumps for the battery and all the electronics. They all have to be cooled when in operation, so just make sure that you're safe in here. Basically, what you want to make sure, your brakes, which if you're using one pedal drive, that's not going to be an issue. Also make sure these 3 coolant reservoirs are full, which mine are. This one's at the line, this one's above the line, and that one's above the line too. And just make sure you have decent amount of, I just bit my lip. Make sure you have a decent amount of windshield wiper fluid, so if you live in a dusty area or whatnot, you can clean your windshield off. And I think that's about it. I don't see anything else that I need to go into. As far as service and maintenance goes, I think you're looking at it. Essentially, that's it. Make sure your fluids are good. I would just make sure that, you know, your drive system and all the inverters and whatnot up here, as well as some of the pumps back there, just make sure they're clean. If you see any leaves or grass or shrubbery or some stuff that looks like it's been there for a while, pay attention to it, because you might have rodents that are living in and around your house where you park your car or at work or something, and they may be using your warm drive system as a warm shelter, especially if you live in super cold climates. I mean, I guess it goes for any kind of climate, because we had rodents in California where it was 120 degrees outside, and that's actually when I found it, was during the day when it was super hot. In fact, I think in that video I was even wearing a muscle shirt, because back then I had muscles and I was a different person. But anyway, suffice it to say that that's pretty much it. You know, there is a lot of stuff down here, a lot of fun stuff if you're a techno nerd like I am, but it's very simple in terms of functionality and the way the system works. Everything is sealed. Everything is, you know, obviously water resistant. You can drive into rain. You can drive into puddles with reason, okay? Don't drive this into standing water that's 3 feet deep, because that will destroy this car, I think. I mean, I'm pretty sure the pack's sealed too, the main high voltage pack, but that's not something you play with. Water and electricity do not mix, And unlike an ICE engine, which will hydrolock if you drive it into water and you suck water into the intake, this will not. This will probably do the next worst thing, or best thing, I guess, if you will. So just use your mind. You know, you don't want to end up in a situation where you energize the water around you, because it's not easy to cut this thing off. You have to, you know, throw the breaker that's underneath the back seat. In fact, here's a label that shows you where the access is to the 400 volt pack, as well as where the 12 volt pack is. And there's actually there's a label right here. I don't know if you guys can see it from over there, but there's a label right there that tells the fireman where to cut the 12 volt system. And it actually, I feel like this should be someplace else, not here, because I don't know how many firemen actually will open the door and pop the hood to read this. But yeah, it says cut any battery cables or wires marked by yellow tape. So there's a yellow tape right there, and I don't see any other yellow tape here. Nope, but there might be some underneath the car or behind it. But yeah, it indicates clippers right here, and it shows you right behind the battery there's yellow tape. So there you go. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Hey, look, this vehicle has emission control information for California. I love it. Obviously, it's blank. You know, it tells you fuel's electric. California class, zero emission vehicle. So no EVAP and no California OBD. So go figure, California would require its own sticker, because they don't like these stickers, apparently. All right, guys, I think that's pretty much it. What do you think? I think we're going to leave it off there because it's getting dark out here, and I feel like you guys can't see me. So actually what I'm going to do is to close this out. We're going to go. Oh, that's a crazy shot with the reflection of the camera all over my face. Oh, here, how about this? I'm going to set you up right here next to Kubo. All right, so never mind. I'm going to set you over here where there's light. Oh, this genius thing they call a light bulb. All right. You guys see how fast the sun went down here? There was sunlight when I started, 40 minutes ago? So anyway, to sum up what I've done, I filled up all 8 tires of both cars to about 38 pounds cold. So there's a difference between cold pressure and hot pressure. And I've learned over the years that when tires get hot, like really hot, like if you're driving them in the summertime or whatnot, they tend to be about 6 pounds, 5 to 6 pounds higher than when they are cold. So since my wife's car has not been driven since about 2 o'clock today, which would make it about 6 hours ago, because it's just after 8 now, that means her tires are relatively cold, and as such, I filled them up to cold pressure at 38 pounds, which is where we really like them for traction and comfort. And mine are hot, so I filled them up to about 44. So by the time they come off their warmth from driving, they'll be at around 30, 38 or so pounds. But we'll figure that out in the morning. I'll double check them to make sure with this little guy right here that actually came with this little kit. And you should probably have one of these in your car anyway. And this one's actually really cool because it tells you PSI, bars, and then kilopascal. So depending on what part of the world you're from, you can actually use this. This is a cheapo. It's cheap, feels like aluminum, but it's got a little clip. You can put it in your car somewhere in a glove box or something and make sure that your tires are pretty decent, because you know, even though this isn't a nice vehicle and you're not worried about putting $100 of gasoline in it, you still should make sure that your efficiency is not being diminished by having tires that are underinflated or overinflated. Overinflated could be dangerous too because you reduce the surface of tire to ground contact. So I'm going to close the car up because we're done. There isn't much else to do. You can consider this a 1,500 or 1,600 mile maintenance. That's it. Make sure your tires are good. Make sure under the hood is clean. It should be clean because, you know, unless you drive it in dusty or foresty type roads, which I do sometimes, and my bay was pretty clean. So yeah, that's it, folks. Go down below in the comments. Let me know what you think. Also, let me know if you guys do any other maintenance besides what I've done here, because I really can't think of anything else that needs to be done on this vehicle to keep it safe and drive worthy on the road. But there could be something I'm missing. I don't know. I'm human after all. So if I see you guys down in the comments, I'll be sure to reply. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, have a good evening. Bye-bye.